Probably one of the engineers at Fortec. He says don't crash the car, so I think that's quite good advice.
So, welcome to the first Shifting Gears podcast. I'm here with Jack Taylor. Jack, welcome. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, what you do.
My name's Jack Taylor. I've been racing in GB4 for the last 2 years. I'm from Australia, and yeah, I'm trying to go to Formula One.
Okay. How did you start? How did you decide to become a racing driver?
When I was 13 years old or 12 years old, I went rental go-karting with my dad, and then from there I really liked it. So we got a proper go-kart, a race go-kart, and we started racing from there. And then yeah, I moved up to Formula Fours, and now I'm here.
Okay. And your family, when you told them that you wanted to be a race car driver for a living, what was their reaction?
Um, I guess my dad. I guess my mom and dad didn't really, know how it would work. My mom doesn't really know anything about racing at all, so she, didn't really understand how it works. But dad's been a very big help along the way, and my mom as well. So yeah, they were kind of supportive of it, just a bit curious at first. So yeah,
Yeah. And what made you choose racing instead of other sports? I mean, like football, basketball, or anything like that?
I did a couple other sports when I was a bit younger. I guess I never really enjoyed them as much, but when I'm driving, I just enjoyed it a lot more. And I think Formula One, it's. I feel like it's quite hard to get to compared to other sports. There's only 20 spots, and even in other categories, there's not many spots. So, yeah, I thought, it'll be a big challenge. So, yeah, I just thought I'd do racing.
Yeah, and from karts to open wheel racing, because there's a difference. How difficult is it to go from that?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. There's a lot of stuff in karts you can learn, but there's a lot of stuff in karts um, that just, you haven't done before when going into formulas. So, it's definitely difficult. It does take a while to adapt. So, yeah, it's definitely difficult trying to learn new things.
Yeah, and how difficult do you think it will be to reach your goal? I mean, F1 or other motorsport categories like Le Mans or anything like that?
I think it'll definitely be difficult. But yeah, I'll just try and keep working at it. I think, yeah, it'll definitely be challenging trying to find, budgets to kind of move up through the ranks as well. But yeah, I think I can do it.
Okay, I hope so. And I want you to tell us about your F4 championship in the Indian category. How was that?
On the Indian F4, yeah, it was good. It was kind of a little bit late notice for me. So yeah, it was at the end of 2023, November and December. There was 4 race weekends, all at Madras International Circuit. But yeah, it was definitely a good championship just to, do my first race in cars. It was Academy style series, so all like the data and stuff is a bit more shared. There is teams, but they're not teams that you'd like have in British F4 and stuff like that. It's all a bit more, conjoined. I think it might be different now, but when I did it, it was like that an Academy style series. So yeah, it was definitely good to learn. There were some good drivers in it that I can, learn from and look at the data and stuff. So yeah, I would say it was definitely helpful.
Okay, and I also read that you raced in Sepang. Can you tell us about this iconic circuit, anything?
Yeah, I didn't race at Sepang, but I did drive there for the Ferrari Driver Academy scouting program. So, yeah, it's just I think they choose 20 or 25 young drivers who apply, and I was one of the ones I was lucky enough to get accepted. So you go there with the other drivers. You do 2 days of driving. And yeah, they basically just, see how well you drive, and then they choose two at the end of the 2 days to go to Maranello. I unfortunately didn't get chosen, but yeah, it was
Next
definitely
time.
a good event, and I liked, yeah, next time, yeah. But it was a good event, and I really liked the circuit. It's the only time I've been there, and yeah, it's also the only time I've been to Malaysia, so that was fun.
Oh, great. And tell us a little bit about your first GP4 season. How was that?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult just trying to learn all the tracks and stuff. I didn't do too much testing compared to, what I've done this year, but yeah, it was just trying to learn, learn the tracks, learn how it all kind of works in the UK because I'd obviously done India before, but it's a academy style series, so this is my first time racing in a, more normal kind of championship. So yeah, it was basically it was mainly just a learning year for me, and yeah, it definitely helps going into this year now. I just know all the tracks, know where to go and stuff like that.
Yeah, and tell us about your team, Fortec. How are things are going on? How helpful are they?
Yeah, the team's great. Obviously signed with them this year for a second year. Um, yeah, everyone in the team's very good, very professional. They're all very friendly as well. It's like a big family. So, yeah, I've really enjoyed working with Fortec. I think they're also, good for driver development with their simulators and stuff. So, yeah, I think, yeah, Fortec's been great.
Okay, and tell us about the weekend at Silverstone where you won, and your team finished one too.
Yeah, it was a very good weekend. Straight out the gate on Thursday. Me and the whole team were all very quick. So it was just, doing all the practice sessions. Then qualifying, I went out and got P1, which is good. And then yeah, just converted them to two wins. Yeah, I mean, we were just very fast all weekend, the whole team, and yeah, we just didn't really make too many mistakes and kept it clean and got two wins. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's the most important part. And tell us about the most difficult moment in your season or your racing career in whole.
Um, I'd say a difficult weekend for me this year was Snetterton Circuit. I just come back from Australia and I was quite a bit sick, so it was definitely a challenging weekend. I wasn't very fast that whole weekend, but yeah, I still came over the podium, so that was kind of a highlight. But yeah, I would say that's a difficult weekend. So going into Silverstone, I was really trying to, push myself for good results, and yeah, it went well. So.
Okay, and just a question because okay, I'm not an athlete, but how do you bounce back from a difficult weekend, a weekend where you sort of doubt yourself or something like that?
Um, I'll just try. I think I've said this before. I just try and look at all the negatives from the weekend and just try and learn from them and try not to do the same mistakes again. So I just, go through everything, and I also try and take the positive bits as well from it, just, for a confidence boost. But yeah, I really just try and review like everything that went bad and try not to do it again.
Okay, and your greatest moment in your career so far?
Probably the Silverstone weekend where I got the double win. That was, yeah, it was pretty fun.
Okay, and tell us about your future goals about racing.
Um, yeah, I definitely want to try and reach Formula One or hypercars or GT, something like that. Or Australian V8 supercars. So yeah, that's my goal. I want to try and just keep working my way up through the single seater ladder, and then once I can't go any higher, I guess, then I'll try and see what I can do from there. Or obviously, if I make it to Formula One, then yeah, I'll make it to Formula One. So
I hope you make it. And next season, will you
thank
continue
you.
GP4 or is it another step in the ladder for you?
Um, At the moment, I'm trying to do GB3. So some kind of like, GB3 Formula Regional level championship. So yeah, that's my goal for next year. So yeah, currently looking into that.
Okay, and while we're talking about F1, tell us your thoughts on the season, since we also have Oscar Piastri fighting for the championship. He's an Australian also.
Yep. Um, yeah, I think the season's been good. I don't really watch Formula One too much, but yeah, I think it's been good having Oscar Piastri leading. Obviously, good for Australia. So um, yeah, I think it's been an interesting season so far, though, just to watch the McLaren's battle as well. So yeah, when I do watch the Formula One, it's usually, pretty good racing. So yeah.
Of course. Did you watch the Monza weekend? Because I want to ask you a question about that weekend.
I didn't watch it live, but I saw some highlights of it. So
So you know about the team orders incident that weekend or anything like that?
uh
Did you see it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
If you were behind the wheel, either Lando or Oscar, what would have been your reaction? What would you have done? Because you're a competitor.
So did you say if I was
I,
Piastri or
or
Norris?
Orlando, or Piastri or Orlando. I don't know. Maybe Piastri. If they told you that, give the position back to your teammate, we know you're fighting for a championship, but it's the right thing.
Oh yeah. I probably wouldn't give the position back. I would just think, because I want to win the championship, obviously. And if it's so close between them, that could be the difference between winning the championship and not winning the championship. And it wasn't really anyone's fault, like any of the drivers' fault either.
Of course.
So yeah, I would. Yeah, I probably wouldn't give the position back. I would just say that, it's just racing. Sometimes things happen. So, yeah.
Okay, okay. And tell us a little bit about how you balance your career along with your school life, your personal life, your family life. How do you do that?
Um, yeah, with school, obviously I'm away quite a lot of years, so I do some online work and, some like worksheets when I'm in the UK when I've got some free time. And when I'm back in Australia, I just try and get through everything as fast as I can. So, yeah, that's kind of my schooling situation. With family, it's quite hard, obviously not seeing them for a while, but my dad always comes up with me, and recently my mum also came up with me, so it was good to have them as well. So yeah, it's quite difficult with family though, but yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. And how are you settling in life in the UK since you are probably living there a little bit longer than Australia?
Yeah, I don't mind it in the UK. I think, yeah, I like it obviously because I'm racing there. But yeah, I don't mind the cold weather either. So, I don't mind the UK weather that much. And yeah, I'd say it's not too different from Australia really. But yeah, I'd say it's been good.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about your life outside of racing. What hobbies do you have? What do you like to do?
Um, I don't do too much other stuff besides racing. I like to go on my simulator a lot when I'm at home. That's, the main thing I do. Sometimes might play some video games or go to the gym with my friends, something like that. But yeah, mainly it's just about racing for me.
Okay, and any role models from the racing world, either F1, NASCAR, IndyCar?
Um, I don't really have like a proper role model. Maybe someone like Michael Schumacher or something, because obviously he's quite good in Formula One. So yeah.
Yeah. And a question that no one has asked you, but you wish they asked you in an interview?
Um, I'm not sure. I don't really think I have one. I think people have asked some pretty good questions. So yeah. I'm not sure.
You're not sure. Okay. And so, in the beginning of your karting years, did you find it difficult to compete or, I don't know, keep pace with the others, or did you stand out from the start?
Um, I didn't do karting for that long, but when I first started, yeah, I definitely, wasn't quick straight away. Yeah, especially when I first started. But yeah, then once I got a new go-kart and I'd been doing it for a little while, I kind of got a bit better. But yeah, I'd say, yeah, it's definitely a challenge to kind of, work my way up in karts. But yeah, it's kind of hard to say because obviously I didn't do karts for that long. So.
Okay, and you told me that you started at 12 or 13, and if I'm not mistaken, that's a little bit late for someone to start karting because generally they're starting from 5 to 6 years old, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think I definitely did start late. When I got my first, like when I bought my first go-kart, I was 13 years old. So yeah, I would say it's quite late, but so I guess I've just had to work
Yeah.
extra hard, I guess, in formulas to kind of catch up. But yeah, I don't think it impacts you too much. I think karting's obviously good to, learn and practice, but I just think there's so much more stuff in cars that karts don't have that you need to learn. So I think cars is more important than karts. So yeah.
Yeah. And when you made the transition, did you feel a sense of, I don't know, something surreal saying that, okay, this is real. I've made it so far and I can make it. I can go to F1. I'm driving now an open wheel racing car, a racing car.
Yeah, it definitely was a bit surreal. Like especially when I went to my first like international events in Malaysia. I'd never been out of Australia before, so my first time traveling overseas, and I'm also racing, um, and the whole Ferrari events and everything. It was definitely quite surreal, so I really enjoyed it, and yeah, and then obviously from not going anywhere overseas. in 2023, and then the next year I'm like living in UK almost the whole year. It's definitely, quite a lifestyle change, I guess you'd say. So yeah, it definitely was a bit surreal, but yeah, I'm a bit more used to it now. So yeah.
Okay, and uh, now the next season, if you make it to GP3, what will be your goal there? Do your goal will be to win the championship or just make more
Um,
improvements and be reliable?
well, the goal is obviously always to win the championship, I guess, but like I at least want to try and get at least a podium or some podiums. I don't want to be, yeah, I want to, I want to be up there in GB3. Obviously winning the championship in the first year is quite difficult, but yeah, I just want to be up there, fighting for podiums at least, and yeah, just kind of, I just want to see how it goes because I could go out and be really quick, or I could go out and be really slow. So yeah, I'll just see how it goes when I do my first test, I guess.
Okay, and when do you start testing?
We're not sure at the moment. We're just, still trying to work everything out with sponsors. So, um, hopefully one this year, maybe next year at the start of the year, we'll do the first preseason test. But yeah, we'll just see.
Okay, and the testing days are extensive or they're limited like F1 where they have certain dates for testing and you can't go out and test all the time.
Um, in GB3, I guess obviously you can't test like whenever you want, but um, there's test days on, a lot of days. Like if you really wanted to, you could test all the time in GB3. But for me, testing will probably be pretty limited. But yeah, I'll just see how everything goes with sponsors and yeah, see how I can go from there. So
Okay, and do you think it's fair, let's say, that F1 is a so money-driven business in terms that if you don't have big sponsors, you can make it to the top, or even if you're really quick, if you don't have the backing, you will probably not make it.
yeah, obviously, I guess it's not really fair, but yeah, I think it's kind of half of the game almost. Like half of it's driving, half of it's just trying to find sponsorship and stuff. Like, you can't make it to Formula One without a lot of money. You also can't make it if you're not very good at driving. So, yeah, it's almost like it's part of it. It's always been a part of it. But yeah, I think I wish more people watched the kind of junior series so it's easier to get sponsors. But yeah, obviously, it would never be free to go to Formula One just with the way teams work and stuff. But yeah, I just think if more people watch the junior ones, then more sponsors would be willing to sponsor the junior drivers, so then it'll be easy to move up. But yeah.
Okay, do the big teams have a big presence there? I mean, you said that you went to a Ferrari test, but are the other teams like the Red Bull Academy, the Mercedes Academy, are participating or are sponsoring certain events?
No, not in GB4. I think Red Bull did sponsor or like, have a lot to do with the Indian F4 Championship when I was there. There's a lot of, Red Bull stuff going on, but yeah, no, not in GB4. And I don't currently have any affiliation with any F1 teams either. So yeah, not too much going on with that.
Okay, and from all your racing, let's say rivals, all the guys you faced on the track, can you tell us the most talented guy you came up with? The guy that, okay, this guy here is trouble. I can't keep him behind or something like that.
I'm not sure. I think last year my teammate Linus Grand Force, he was definitely very quick. He obviously won the championship, so when you're teammates, you get to see all these stuff, and yeah, he was very fast. So I'd say he's probably one of the best drivers I've raced against. Yeah,
Okay. And when your teammate is fast and sometimes let's say faster than you, does this give you extra motivation to say I will go faster, I have to beat him?
I'd say yeah, it definitely does give you extra motivation, and also knowing that my car can do it. Like it's not the car that's the issue. It definitely um, it's definitely good to see that because it gives you the confidence that if I do everything right, I can be the top two, and you also get all their videos and data. So Yeah, I'd say, yeah, it's definitely nice having a teammate who's quicker than you sometimes. Obviously, it's not nice because you want to be the quickest, but it's also nice because you can kind of see how it's being done. So,
Okay, and
yeah.
how much data and the team help you move forward, get faster, or get better at driving?
I'd say the data's definitely a big help because well, the only things you can really do in a car is brake, accelerate, and steer. So when you got all that on the data, you can see exactly where you need to get faster and where you're losing time. So I'd say it's every big help. It's every one of my favorite things about racing. I like looking through all the data and stuff. And yeah, I'd say it's probably one of the best things, one of the biggest things you can do at the track to be quicker is go through the data and the video. So.
Okay, and in the junior categories, I think that also applies in GP4. All the cars are the same. I mean, no one has an advantage. They're the same cars. Or am I mistaken?
Um, Yeah, all the cars, they're all the same. They're all made by the same manufacturer. They're all made to a spec. Same with the engines. Um, I guess, there can be tiny engine differences, just like the way they are. Some of them are just better from the factory, but it's not usually that much, and it's quite rare. But yeah, the only difference is different teams obviously can set up the cars differently. That's the only difference they really have in the championship. So
Okay,
yeah,
okay. And how many drivers did they compete last season in your championship?
last year, I think I think in total maybe about 20 drivers. I think around that. But obviously not all the drivers did every round. So, some rounds would have a lot less number, like 13
Okay.
people, and some rounds would have like 18 people. So yeah, not
And
exactly sure, but yeah.
the weekend structure it's same as F2 where you have a sprint race, you have the main race and all that.
No, the weekend format is a bit different to F2 and stuff. So we do qualifying and three races. So in qualifying, your fastest lap sets your grid for race one. Your second fastest lap sets the grid for race two, and then the third race is the top 12 of qualifying reversed. So yeah, we have three races, and they're all the same length as well.
Okay. And how many laps are all the races? Or is it just the kilometers you have
Um,
to uh, cross?
yeah, it's just time based. So I think it's 18 minutes plus one lap. So a track like Silverstone, that's like 9 or 10 laps or something, and then a shorter track like Donington, for example, it'll be more laps. So yeah.
Okay. And how many races did you compete this year?
This year, so far I've only done 6 rounds, but I'll be doing one more in a few weeks. So in total this year there's 7 race weekends with 3 races each, so there is 21 races in total I'll be doing.
Okay. And your favorite race this year was Silverstone, I imagine.
Uh, yeah, yeah, definitely Silverstone. Yeah, that was a very fun weekend.
Yeah, and from all the tracks that you have raced, from the go-karts, the F4, what track was the most physically demanding?
Physically demanding. I'm not sure to be honest. They're all they're all fairly equal. Maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure to be honest. I guess Silverstone's pretty demanding. Lots of high speed corners, so you got more G-force in the high speed than the low speed. So yeah, probably Silverstone, I'd say.
Yeah, and since we're talking about Silverstone, how surreal was to go there where big champions have taken wins, F1 goes all the time, the first F1 race there, so the track holds a pretty big motorsport history.
Yeah, the first time I went there, I was very stoked to be there. Obviously with all the famous races who've been there. But yeah, every time I go to Silverstone, I really like it. It's just compared to the other tracks in GB4, this one's the only Formula One track. So yeah, I guess the track's smoother than the others. It's quite wide. So yeah, it's very fun to be there and just to know that you're racing the same corners as they have for the last whatever, like 75 years or something. So yeah, it's definitely very good together.
Yeah, and since it's the only track you say that F1 also races, uh, how that impacts your development. I mean, you are racing in a track where hopefully you will race one day in F1 when you make it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good to learn the F1 tracks, obviously as a junior. So then when you go to F1, you have already some experience there. But yeah, I'd say yeah, it's definitely helpful to do the Formula One tracks, but it's also helpful to do, some of the lesser known, I guess you could say, tracks like for example, Alton Park, Donington Park. Yeah, they're all very good tracks. They're quite technical tracks, so they're very good for learning and developing as well. So I think GV4 is great because it's got a mix of the Formula One track like Silverstone, and then some of the smaller, more bumpy technical tracks like Alton Park.
Okay. And also the difference between the karts uh, and the open wheel racing. How different is it in terms of G-forces or in the terms of uh, steering the car, warming the tires in a technical level? How different is it?
Yeah, I'd say on a physical level, karts is quite physical. I'd say it's honestly a similar level to F4 karting is. Yeah, I think they're both pretty physical. On a technical level, um, I'd say F4 is, quite a lot more complicated. In karts, the tire warming procedures, much simpler and stuff like that. There's just, yeah, F4, I think is just all around more technical, obviously, because in karts, you only have like rear brakes, so there's no brake bias to play with. The throttle is basically only on and off in karts, like so yeah. F4 is a bit a lot more complicated, but physically they're both pretty similar, I'd say, F4 and karts.
Okay. And uh, let's go to the sports car racing category. Would you see yourself racing there? I mean, in any of the categories?
Definitely, if I can't go to Formula One or hypercars, I can definitely see myself racing in GTs, stuff like that. I've never obviously driven a GT car, but I've obviously driven on the sim, and I quite like them. I quite like all the cars. So yeah, I could definitely see myself racing it one day. Even if I got F1 afterwards, I'd probably still like to race GTs. So yeah, I definitely see myself doing some kind of GT racing in the future. Yeah.
And how was the simulator feeling of the GT car?
Um, yeah, it's quite good. I don't really have the real life comparison because I've never driven one. So yeah, I was thinking compared to the formulas, they're obviously a lot heavier. That's the main difference. A lot more power than F4. Obviously not F1, but yeah, a lot more power than F4. They have traction control and ABS, most of them. So yeah, it's quite different. But yeah, a lot of the stuff still translates well. So it's just kind of, adapting how you drive it a little bit. But yeah.
Okay. And the simulator as a tool, how helpful is it for a young driver?
Yeah, I think a simulator is definitely a great tool. I personally I don't use the simulator too much for the specific car and track I'm doing, but I think it's great, just to, help develop your driving and techniques in general and, just to keep sharp if you can't be in a car that often. So, yeah, I think, it's definitely a great tool. I think every young driver should definitely have a simulator and every professional driver as well. I think everyone should have a simulator.
Okay. And how different is the feeling from, simulator to real life? How does it translate?
Um, I'd say it's a little bit different. I always think of it like I feel like if you do the same car in the simulator in real life, I feel like it doesn't feel like the same car in the simulator. It feels like a real car, but maybe just like a different car. It feels like, like it feels like a slightly different Formula 4 car, but it still feels like it is a real car, just not identical to the real one.
Okay. Okay. Great. And how expensive is a simulator to get if you want it?
Um, it just depends, I guess. If you already have a computer, you can pick up a Logitech simulator for, I think they're like a couple $100. I think I got one for like a few $100 when I first got that. And then obviously Sims can go range from yeah, literally a few $100 to like tens of thousands of dollars. So yeah, you can basically get a simulator for any budget as long as you have a few $100. And then yeah, PC and all the monitors and stuff can cost you, 1,000 or a couple thousand as well. So yeah.
Okay. And tell us about your workout program? How do you keep in shape between the races? How do you rehabilitate after the races? How do you recover?
To be honest, I haven't done too much specific like exercises for racing this year. You know, I think at the F4 level, it's still not like too physical like some of the higher up formulas. It obviously is physical, but I think as long as you're in, decent shape, you shouldn't struggle too much. But yeah, every now and then I just, go for a run, do some like chest and shoulder exercises because, you use your shoulders mainly for pushing the wheel up. Um, so yeah, stuff like that. And yeah, obviously neck training as well. Every now and then I just do some neck training, but yeah, not too much.
Okay, and when will you climb the ladder and go to the more advanced categories, let's say? The neck will become an important part, I think.
Yeah, it definitely will. Like even next year, I want to do GB3. Obviously, I'm going to start training my neck. I'll start training it now, basically, to help prepare for GB3. Because yeah, the last thing when you're driving around, you want to be focused 100% on driving. You don't want to be focused on, trying to hold your neck up through the corners. And yeah, I feel like, when you're like straining your neck through the corners, it's quite distracting from the driving. And yeah, when you're tired as well, it's quite, you drive, I feel like I drive a lot worse when I'm tired. So yeah, I definitely want to get my neck, yeah, nice and strong for next year.
Okay, and tell us the greatest piece of advice you have been given by a member of your team, by your family, by someone in general, in respect to your career.
Probably one of the engineers at Fortec, he says, don't crash the car. So I think that's quite good advice.
That's great advice.
Yeah.
And the cars are really expensive there, I think.
Yeah, they're quite expensive. Especially next year in GB3, they get even more expensive. So yeah, yeah, I just try not to crash it, I guess. So yeah.
Okay, and did you ever have a big crash or a scary crash, let's say?
No, I've never been that like scared of a crash or anything like that, or like being scared when I'm about to crash. So no, I wouldn't really say I haven't even had any big crashes either. So no, I don't think I've really had any scary ones.
Okay, that's good to know, and I hope you don't have any crashes.
Thank you.
So thank you very much for your answers. I don't have any questions, any more questions.
That's all right.
Okay,
Thank you.
I really hope you make it to GP3, and then I hope I see you
Yeah, thank you.
in Formula One in 10 years' time or whenever.
Thank you.
So this was our episode with Jack Taylor. Thank you very, very much, and good luck to the
That's
rest
all
of
right.
your season. Good
Yep,
luck
thank
and
you.
goodbye.
See ya.
See you.